Todd Husak, former Commanders quarterback, former Stanford star, and he's with us to chop it up and talk a little ball. Todd, how are you?
Doing great. Feeling a lot better that they were able to pull that one off. Jake Tonges. Oh man, that play was incredible. Watching the replay a number of times, I mean, it makes you feel a lot better. I mean, if he doesn't make that play, they got to go for it on the fourth down. If they don't pull that off, the season sure feels a lot different. Even though they're one game in, that was a huge win on the road, and they did just enough to get it done.
You know, I would have gotten money that the Stanford guy would bring up the Cal guy right in the first sentence, but look at that, some Cross Bay love. Look at that. Forget the axe and the bitterness. Jake Tonges, it is.
We're all rooting for the same team right now, and he stepped up and made some plays, and that's part of the NFL. Guys get hurt all the time, and we saw it. We're going to see it again this week with guys needing to step up and make some plays, and he did just that. I think against a team in the Seahawks, they could be a playoff team. Watching the NFC and even the NFC West, I think they have the talent and the ability. I think the Lions are in for a long year. I'm not sold on the Vikings. Some of those teams that made it last year, I could see the Seahawks making a run. They're tough.
Yeah.
They had a good defense and run the ball. If Darnold can get that offense going, I could see them making the playoffs. So a huge win on the road.
Yeah, no, I think if the Niners got them early, their offense is going to get going as the season goes on. I used to play golf when I was in the Canadian League with David Archer, the former NFL quarterback, and he used to say about receivers that when he liked a guy, he'd be like, "Oh, Krug, man, this guy will go get it for you. He'll go get it for you." You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what I thought of when I saw Tonges attack that football. It's like, you know what, Brock Purdy. If you watch that film, I mean, people only question the 50-50 throws that go to the defense. They never question the 50-50 throws for the most part that go to the offense. But Brock threw about, I would say, a half dozen what I would call 50-50 balls. And he's putting it on his receivers, man. Go get it for me. And Tonges did. So talk about that, Todd, as far as, and I asked Kubiak about this, about, the 50-50 balls. It's like you can't play football if you're not willing to throw the 50-50 ball that might go to your guy, it might go to the defender. I mean, it's part of the risk of playing quarterback. What was your mindset on 50-50 balls? Because if you don't throw them at all, you're not going to win. But if you throw too many of them, you're going to have 3 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Brock, outside of those 2 decisions, the second interception was worse. I think the first one, he thought he could maybe get it over his head right in Pearsall, and McCaffrey was not out on the route, which allowed the linebackers to get a little more depth and make the play. The second one was just a bad decision. I don't think he saw the defender on the left side who snuck back and made the play. Outside of that, Purdy was, I thought, spectacular. He makes a lot of really tough plays kind of look easy. And it's almost hard to recognize how good he is sometimes. He was exceptional. He makes his ability to process and make the right decision and then put the ball on the money. A couple, I thought, key plays. The 2 fourth-down conversions, especially the one late. He recognizes Christian McCaffrey. Great play design. You get Christian McCaffrey on the outside, want to run a quick out route. And he puts it right there in a huge situation. He puts that ball right on the money where McCaffrey can make the easy catch, turn it up, get a couple extra yards. It's amazing as you watch the rest of the NFL. There's not a ton of guys that can do that consistently. Make the easy. That's not a real easy throw. I mean, 3 steps, look to your left, throw it, put it right on the outside shoulder where you can catch it and run. And he does it consistently. He throws such a catchable ball. And oftentimes in that game, he was getting pressure and the guys were covered, and he put it right there. Crossing routes, he floats it out there in front where Kittle can catch it and run up the sideline and make a big play. I thought the best throw for him of the day, that dart to Ricky Pearsall up the sideline, that was a big-time throw.
The 50-yarder on the 45-yard, yeah. The double move.
He put it – it was a perfect throw. He put it right on him, right over the defender's head. The defender misplayed it just 1 step, half a step, and that's all you need in the NFL. That was a laser beam. I mean, Purdy doesn't get enough credit for having a really strong arm because he oftentimes floats the ball in there over the middle. He throws such an easy ball to catch, and that throw was awesome. Like right on the sideline, right over the defender, right in Pearsall in a huge situation where they needed a big chunk play to get down in scoring position. And I think the trust that you go back to the 50-50 ball question, I think a lot of that is practice and building that trust and understanding in the receiver and that receiving core, including tight ends and running backs. And we saw Husak with some big plays. And he trusting your guys to be in the right spot, and then there are going to be some situations. Hey, they're covered. I'm going to give my guy a shot. And Tongas, geez, I mean, for a guy that nobody was expecting anything out of to come in late in the drive with Kittle out, he made a really nice play. That catch he made earlier on second and 8, that ball was below his knees, and a guy that big able to lean down and snatch it with his hands and then push forward for an extra 2 yards after he fell. Those were two huge plays, and I think really athletic catches. If you watch the replay of his touchdown, the defender basically grabs air. He thought he had an interception. He was looking at that ball all the way in, and at the very last second, Tongas wraps around, jumps in front of him, and snatches it away. It was big time, reminiscent of the catch. I know Niners fans, that's a holy play in Niner history, but we'll see how this season keeps going along, but we could look back as that being a really pivotal play for the 49ers as this season unfolds.
You know, my kid is playing high school football, and I said, hey, man, look at that play. The receiver came back to the ball. You know, don't be passive. Come back to the ball. Help your quarterback. If Tongas waits for that ball to come to him, it's picked. Instead, he saw Woolen kind of doing that, and he said, hey, I'm just going to jump in front and pick it off. It was an awesome play.
By the way, we got a big high school matchup. Menlo School going out to the East Bay in a couple of weeks to take on your Northgate team.
That's right. Fun. Your guys at JV at Menlo, my guys at JV at Northgate, and something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Battle. That'll be a good one. Not quite Seattle and 49ers, but pretty darn close.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We'll have to wager quietly and maybe off the air.
You got it.
Back to the Purdy picks, though. I thought the first one was interesting. Seattle with the run blitz. CMC clearly had to pick that up. And then Ernest Jones saw that CMC had to pick that up. So he got a little bit deeper, a little bit better depth. And Purdy just tried to throw it over his head. I don't know if he saw him. And he was trying to hit Jennings on the dig. And it just Jones got the depth and picked it off. And, you know, it was bad. But the second one, man-to-man coverage, and Job just undercut the Pearsall route. And you had all kinds of guys there. You had Witherspoon, you had Woolen. I mean, it's like, what do you think Brock's seeing there? We didn't get a chance to talk to him there, but I mean, it's like there's 4 Seattle defenders. He's putting it up for grabs. Not only that, I think it was a second down pass play. It wasn't really, you know, it wasn't like it was the game was on the line. It was 2nd and 13 from the 27. What do you think he's seeing there?
I think he was expecting the outside defender to play up on the flat route. There was somebody in the flat. I think he expected that guy to stay up, and he watching it from his perspective, it looked like if he put it outside just far enough, he could give his guy a chance to make the play. Unfortunately, there were a couple other defenders there who also jumped in. I think that's one he wishes he had back. I mean, again, his processing, that was a bad decision. I think the earlier one, a very similar play happens on that opening drive where he hits Pearsall down the middle. And McCaffrey is able to get out on his route, which keeps the underneath coverage uptight, and he's able to put it over his head. That time, you said it. McCaffrey blocks, defender drops back. And he just maybe tried to do too much there. I think the second one, bad decision, right? I'm sure he wishes he just threw that ball away and picked up the 3rd and 13. Guys make mistakes, right? It's the NFL. They do a great job.
It's easy to question it, you know, after the fact when you you're rolling the film back and forth with the clicker. Yeah. You know, everybody's a genius with the clicker.
And he got rushed. He got hit. It was not an easy game. He wasn't just sitting back in the pocket all game, and that can disrupt your decision making ability at times. So he's still a young quarterback. There's going to be mistakes, but overall, I thought he played exceptional. I thought he was big time, especially on that last drive, the throw to Pearsall. Just the quick decision making, and then his escapability. He's a much better athlete too. So, and I think he gets credit for certainly on the national stage. It's amazing all the people saying he's not worth it. Gosh, watch him play consistently, and I think he's one of the top 10 in the NFL.
Quarterbacks always seem to appreciate him for sure. The anticipatory throws he had in the first quarter to Pearsall and the fourth quarter to Pearsall. I mean, That stuff's just awesome. Yeah, Brock, to me, all that stuff in the flat where he's throwing through the defender, or how about the blitz where he threw to the void in the blitz behind it? He threw right in the face of it to JJ. That was a great pass. I thought he was really, really on his game. But you mentioned something. He was getting hit. He took 8 hits. All right. So now fast forward to week 2. Here come the Saints in the Dome. They had 5 sacks of Kyler last week. This is the stat I wanted to throw your way. Since Purdy has been the Niners quarterback, first 3 years coming into this year, the Niner offensive line in that first 3 years is the 8th worst in pressure percentage allowed, but the 9th best in sack percentage allowed. And that's all Brock Purdy. That's all his mobility. So when you hear those numbers, does that make you go, uh-oh, Mac Jones is not going to be able to avoid sacks at such an expert level like Purdy, and he's going to be rained down with a ton of pressure on Sunday? I mean, how do you see that?
Well, on the flip side, the Saints had 5 sacks against Kyler Murray, who is the opposite of Brock Purdy. Tries to do way too much, doesn't recognize coverage, doesn't get the ball out of his hands quickly. I was really impressed with Mac. I thought that was a great signing for the Niners to have a guy who is experienced, who has a top 10 pick, who has started a bunch of games. And he's going to get a shot to play. I think what's interesting in his situation, and we saw it with Darnold, right? A chance to come in and play. He's not just playing to win the next few weeks. He's playing for a contract. Right? He comes out and shows well. There's going to be some teams interested in him, maybe take over the starting job next year. So I think there's some pressure on him to go out and not just manage the game, but make some plays. I think he's experienced. He started, 50 games or something like that in the NFL? He started a lot of football games. So coming in with that experience, I thought he picked up the offense really well. Looked sharp in preseason, in limited action. Looked sharp in practice. A few practices I went to. I think you made the point earlier. They're going to try to run the ball. Maybe do some things to protect him. Make sure he doesn't get hit, because if he goes down, then they could be in trouble. But protect him a little bit from a play calling standpoint. Run the ball more effectively. Again, the Seahawks defense I think is good. The Niners only average 3.3 yards a carry or something like that. So run the ball effectively. Don't ask Mac Jones to do too much. Get out of there with a win and get ready for another division game. But I think they'll protect him a little bit. But again, make quick decisions, get the ball out of your hands. I think you're right. I think Brock Purdy does so much pre-snap reading. He doesn't get surprised by blitzes very often. And he's able, when he does feel some pressure, he's able to move, not just run outside the pocket, but slightly move inside the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, not take the sack, and still make a play. So Mac Jones will be tested. If I'm the Saints, I'm blitzing a lot and try to create some mistakes, create some negative plays, and some big plays on defense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Saints come after him. And that's why early in the game, first quarter, he's got to be sharp. He's got to make the right reads. Don't get surprised. And if they can rip off a few big runs, with Jordan James back, I'd like to see him. Brian Robinson looked okay, not as effective, but with Jordan James back, we'll see if he's ready to go. I'd still like to see Christian. I mean, McCaffrey had 9 catches and 22 carries. That's 31 times touching the ball. They can't do that every game. So maybe limit his exposure. But if they're able to get out to a big lead, let's rest those guys, make sure everybody's safe and healthy for the next couple games, because they got the Cardinals and the Rams coming up in week 5.
A little break in the content to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. 49er Football on the Krug Show this season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy, where you choose 2 to 8 players pregame or live and pick more or less on their projections. And if you're new to it, use promo code Larry and you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. The link is right there in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's get to it. Let's make our lineup for this week, and let's take a look at what we want in this game. All right, let's take a look at Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey, coming off of last week, I think the expectation is he's going to have another big week, but he was hit an awful lot last week. That's a lot of touches, and it's hard to put that back to back So I'm gonna go less. I'm gonna say less than 81 and a half rush yards for CMC. I think he's gonna have a good day, but less than 81 and a half. Okay, so now let's take a look at Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall's been the hot guy as of recently, and I just feel like Mac Jones is probably going to wind up looking for Pearsall quite a bit. Um, an anytime touchdown makes sense for Pearsall. So let's go more on half a touchdown for an anytime touchdown for Ricky Pearsall. So I like that. How about a Mac Jones? Is there a Mac Jones in here? Let's see what Mac Jones's numbers look like for this game. Mac Jones is interesting. I kind of think Mac Jones is going to throw for a few more yards. It may not be that he's a lot of throws, but I could see him having some long throws. He's a good long ball thrower. I could see Jordan Watkins getting in the mix here. I like Mac over more than 203 and a half passing yards. I like that. I like that. More on the passing yards for Mac Jones. And let's do a Saint as well. Who do we want to go with the Saints? Let's go Spencer Rattler. Now, Rattler last week threw the ball four over 40 times. So that's not crazy that he would have, big totals. It's 34 and a half pass attempts. But as I said, I think the 49ers run the ball, and I think the Saints also have some success running the ball at times. I'm going to say less than 34 and a half pass attempts for Spencer Rattler. I know he threw it in the 40s last week. I think he'll throw it a little bit less this week. I think they'll try to run it more. I think the Niners will have some success running it, and that will draw that down. All right, $5 to win $71.70. I like that. Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. Links right in the description. Terms apply. Helps support the show, and also gets you rolling on the #1 sports app in America. So check it out. Once again, Sleeper. Thanks to Sleeper. Big thanks to them. Once again, use that code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. I don't think people would say that Mac Jones is similar to Brock Purdy because they're different stature and Purdy's got mobility and that kind of thing. But there are some similarities. I mean, both guys are very tough. Both guys know how to play. Both guys, do a lot of, cerebral quarterbacks who see coverage and read coverage. They both are kind of distributors, right? They get the ball out. And Mac Jones was great at Alabama. He wasn't great running all over the field, but he had a year at Bama where he completed 77%. He also had his career at Bama, 16-1, 56 touchdowns, 7 picks. I realize if the surrounding cast is good, the quarterback looks good, but those are still great numbers. I do see some similarities stylistically in Purdy and Jones, despite the different, the different shapes of the players.
Yeah, you're not going to see many highlight reel plays from either one. I think both are better, more effective inside the pocket, those quick decisions, get the ball on the money where guys can catch and run, yards after the catch. He did have, I think, 3 first-round receivers while at Alabama, so he was surrounded by some pretty great talent there. But, again, don't ask him to do too much, get some screens, maybe move the pocket a little bit on some play action, get him comfortable, start the game off with some easy pitch and catch where he has a rhythm and is feeling good. I would expect, but I think you're right. I think they're similar type players, stand in the pocket, deliver the ball on time and on the money. Both have the ability to do that. And it's a big few games for Mac Jones, not just, again, for the 49ers season, but how he's viewed by the league and his future in the NFL.
Sam Darnold made himself a lot of money here, and there's no question that Jones can do the same thing, and he's thinking about it. What do you think of Adrian Martinez? I mean, we haven't seen much of him. I talked to him in the locker room the other day. I'll say this, he's solid as far as, he's smart, he's competitive. He gives you a lot of those vibes that you want to hear from a quarterback. I want to hear competitive. I want to hear smart. I want to see the poise. I think you can kind of tell how smart a guy is, how poised he is in an interview setting. I interviewed him. I thought he came across very poised. He's playing the best football of his life right now. Was just the MVP of the UFL Super Bowl. Played really, really well there. I'm kind of encouraged, and I don't know if you heard Shanahan with the boys earlier, but he sounds very confident in Adrian Martinez, who's pretty good athlete, 4.55 speed. What do you think of Martinez? Did you watch him at all at Nebraska or K-State?
Absolutely. He was one of those guys that seemed like they were in college forever. Like the Chris Ricks. Remember Chris Ricks at Florida State? Felt like that guy played 18 years. No, Chris Ricks too. Chris Ricks was a guy that was a little bit later. Wenke was like 26 years old.
Wenke's still there. I think he's got a couple years of eligibility left.
Adrian Martinez, when you go to Nebraska, you're tough to play quarterback because they run the ball a lot. Let me start by saying I hope we don't see him. And that's not a knock against him as much as let's keep everybody healthy and upright because I think the team's a lot better with Mac Jones than Adrian Martinez, who just joined the team a few weeks ago. That's a lot to take on, a new offense, a new system, new guys in the locker room. That's not an easy situation to come into and have to play right away, but I like his toughness, his athleticism. I'm not sure how polished a passer he is, but clearly he's a winner, winning the UFL Super Bowl, their equivalent of the Super Bowl. So let's hope we don't have to see him, but if Shanahan and the team trust him enough to be the only backup this week, which I think a little dangerous, but hopefully that bodes well for Brock Purdy's chances of coming back sooner than the potential 5-week span of missing games with his foot injury.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Saints could do on defense. They have a base 5-2 front. They got Demario Davis at linebacker. He's everywhere. Breezy, the former Clemson guys, all over the place. Godchalk, big, strong defensive tackle. They got Granderson off the edge. And Chase Young, Chase Young, if Chase Young's healthy. Interestingly enough, and I brought this up, I saw that looking at some of the numbers, Seattle played with the nickel 82% of this total snaps. There were 71 offensive snaps for the Niners, which is a ton, right? Niners possessed the hell out of the ball. 71 offensive snaps, but Seattle stayed in the nickel for 58 snaps, including 32 in, when the Niners went to like 12 personnel and 22 personnel and got some bigger people on the field. And I asked Kubiak about it. He's like, hey man, that's what they do. What do you think of that? As a quarterback, would you rather a team play you in their nickel defense and maybe have a little bit of a speed advantage, but you have a little bit of a size advantage? Or do you look at that as, oh, you know what? I don't like that extra DB. It's a lot more speed. It makes the coverages harder to read. How did you look at teams that played a lot of nickel and dime?
Yeah, well, I think to your point, if you can get a couple extra tight ends in there with Husak, you should have the size advantage and be able to run the ball more effectively. I think, it's a credit to the Seattle defensive line. There weren't a lot of big gaps for McCaffrey and Brian Robinson. They were not peeling off, 7, 8, 9-yard carries very often. So you should have the size advantage. By the way, I love what they did with Husak, getting him the ball down the field, like creating open space for him to run. That's their defensive coordinator preparing for a Shanahan offense because you figure you got, all right, and also Pearsall establishing himself as the go-to guy. Juwan Jennings, not a huge factor. He had the big third down catch and run. But other than that, it was Pearsall and then some other guys just stepping up and Shanahan creating some situations where he can get guys in space and took advantage of it. So I would expect them to use a little more run-heavy extra tight ends if they have them, get them healthy, and shoot, Tongas, let's get him in space a little bit too. That guy's pretty darn impressive catching the football. So I think established, that was a question coming in. Who are the real weapons for this 49er offense? Obviously McCaffrey, Kittle, who's now out, so they got to find some production at tight end. But the big question was wide receiver, and Pearsall coming out and having a 100-yard game, I think establishes himself as a real threat for Brock Purdy in the offense, or now Mac Jones in the offense. So I think they answered some questions that a lot of people, myself included, had coming in. How are they going to handle it? How are they going to distribute the ball to the outside? They need another wide receiver to opposite Pearsall to help take some of the pressure off everybody else, because we saw it with McCaffrey out running routes. We saw Kittle get open a little bit more, Pearsall get open a little bit more. But without Kittle, might be a little tighter in there. So I think if you can run the ball effectively, that'll set up play action, and hopefully we can see a couple big plays from Mac Jones and whoever he's throwing it to.
I'll tell you, the guy who I think it's going to be is the rookie Watkins. I was watching him at practice today. I mean, he just looks so much more. He just has so much more than these older guys. I mean, Valdez Scantling, Kendrick Bourne, there's Russell Gage. I mean, they got veteran options, and obviously there's JJ when he's healthy. He wasn't practicing today. I don't know how healthy he is. He was on the side working out. You got Ricky and you got Sky Moore. They're going to be there, but I just think Watkins. He was running kind of on the first line with Pearsall, and I just think that kid is. He's not like most rookie receivers. Most rookie receivers are not ready for prime time. Can't use them. And I just don't think that's this guy. This guy played in a pro set, Lane Kiffin. I think he's got the mental capability to digest the whole system. He's got legit 4.37 speed. He's played in the SEC. He's not wowed in any way by the level of competition. I think Watkins is going to be a big time player here, and I think it may be as soon as Sunday.
Yeah, if he can come on the scene and make a couple big plays, that opens up this offense even more. I agree with you. I was impressed by him early in training camp before he got hurt. He's smooth. You can just tell his body control, his awareness of the people around him. I think the other receivers you mentioned, and Valdez Scantling and Gage, like those guys are kind of straight line runners, not super quick in and out of break, like a Jordan Watkins. I thought Pearsall did a really good job of making some big plays down the field. He's a bigger body. Pearsall's not a slot receiver. He's a big, strong wide receiver who can stretch the field. So having a guy like Watkins who can get in and out of break and make yards after the catch, establishing another weapon on the outside is might be the missing piece. Hopefully Kittle comes back healthy in a month, and this offense can finally have all the pieces in place where they can put up some big points.
Last one for you, Ratler. It's funny, Robert Saleh showed Ratler a lot of respect. He thinks Rattler is going to be good, and by the end of the year, we're going to look back at this and say, "Hey, man, Spencer Rattler is a pretty good young quarterback." I guess I'm not as convinced, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of him in the college level. They must trust him on some level. He threw 46 times last week. That's a ton of passes for a young quarterback. What do you think of Spencer Rattler? Have you watched him much?
Yeah, I've watched him. He was another guy that was starting in college for a long time. I don't think he's very polished. I don't think he has the pre-snap ability like an out. They're coached up. I really like New Orleans head coach. He can coach quarterbacks, and he'll get them more ready, I think, than he has been early in his career. I think he's a placeholder for the Saints to take somebody in the top 3 next year. I don't think the Saints are going to be very good this year. I don't think Spencer Rattler's the answer at quarterback. He might make a couple of plays here and there. He's athletic, but I don't think his read and react and anticipation and accuracy are good enough right now to be an effective quarterback for the 17-game season. Now, who knows? Maybe lightning in a bottle. He's ready to go this week against a good the 49er defense was awesome. I mean, they came up and made some big plays, up and stout with that late deflection. Like, you can see that there's some talent. Marquis Siegel all over the place making tackles, and then you got Warner and Bosa coming up huge. D. Winters was great. So the defense will be ready to play. And if they can put some pressure on Rattler, maybe shake him up a little bit early in the game, I think the Niners should be poised to have a nice road win and then come home with the 49er faithful and keep it rolling.
All right, send the message on the peninsula. Northgate's coming. We're coming from Menlo. All right, let them know.
I'm on campus right now. I'll go talk to the team. I'll give them a pep talk.
I know those are the. I think it's over here. I think you guys are going to have to venture over here,
out in the East Bay. Yeah,
I was going to say. So you guys better maybe hire some security and get over here. I mean, it's not.
I'll wear neutral colors.
Hey, buddy, great talking to you. Great chopping it up, talking Niners. I'm really enjoying game days for the home games, getting the chance to chop it up during the game. Thanks for jumping on KNBR tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, isn't it crazy? They start on the road twice. I'll take the easy schedule, but I'm looking forward to a home game. Let's get these guys back in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, seriously. Week 3 against the Cardinals. We'll see you out there. Thanks, Todd.
Should be fun. Take care.
Todd Husak, one of the voices on the Niner pre and post game show on the Sports Leader, and you catch him all the home games with Tracy Sandler and Adam Copeland, and does an amazing job analyzing football, and that's why he's here. We're going to take a time out. We'll come back and wrap it up.